Tyson Fury has said that he is the greatest fighter that's lived. Now, he's not the only fighter who's ever said this in the past. I mean, Floyd Mayweather Jr. came out in the past and said that he's the greatest fighter that ever lived. Now, when it comes to fighters saying they're the greatest fighters that ever lived, you know, no one knows this, right? This is something that can't be proven, right? Because there's been so many fighters throughout the decades that have done really great things in their careers. Right? You will literally have to look at every fighter's career and be and try and see who's the greatest. And that's just impossible. So we can never really know who's the greatest fighter to ever live. But what I do think you can do is you could look at a fighter and be like, this guy's the greatest fighter in his division, or the best fighter in his division. I think that's more of a realistic thing than saying somebody like Tyson Fury is the greatest fighter, right? Because when Vladimir Klitschko was champion, for the longest time, I thought nobody could beat him. I thought he was the best guy in his division, right? Because he was constantly beating everybody. He was constantly better than everybody he fought. When Mike Tyson was champion, he was knocking everybody out. It looked like nobody could beat him. So during that time, the 80s, the late 80s, people looked at him and thought, okay, he's the best heavyweight on the planet. And you could say that. You could say that in the late 80s, Mike Tyson was the best heavyweight on the planet. You remember when Manny Pacquiao was in his prime and he was fighting at welterweight? There was a time where I thought nobody could beat him at welterweight, right? During that time, you could say he was the best welterweight in the planet. So I think that's what Tyson Fury could achieve. I think Tyson Fury, in this generation, in his era I think he has the ability to perhaps one day, say that he is the best heavyweight of this era. But of course, that requires him to fight everybody else, right? You can't say you're the greatest fighter that's ever lived and you haven't fought Anthony Joshua, you haven't fought Dillian White. You have to fight all the guys in your division that people want to see you fight, right? I think he has the talent to possibly be the best guy in this division, but I don't know yet. I don't know. I could sit here and say, oh, I think Tyson Fury has better boxing skills than Anthony Joshua and Dillian White, and he'll give them boxing lessons. But if he doesn't fight them, I'll never know 100% certain that he would actually do that. He might fight AJ and get knocked out, right? He might get knocked out by Dillian White. So that's what he needs to do. He needs to fight everybody in his division. All right. Ali went around calling himself the greatest of all time, the greatest of all time. But he fought everybody in his division that mattered. Right? There's not one guy that you could say that Ali ducked. Ali didn't fight this guy. During his eras of the 1960s and 1970s, he fought every heavyweight that he was supposed to fight. Every heavyweight that mattered. Even guys that he should have never fought, like Larry Holmes. He should have never fought Larry Holmes. Because by the time Larry Holmes was champion, he was completely way past his prime and he was retired. Right? He came out of retirement to fight Larry Holmes. He hadn't fought in 2 years. And he still tried to challenge himself to fight Larry Holmes and win the belt for the fourth time, the record fourth time. But obviously he didn't win it because he was way past his best by then. Right? He wasn't even competitive in that fight. But the point is, Ali went around calling himself the greatest, but he was fighting everybody in his division. All right? He was fighting everyone. So that's what I want Tyson Fury to do. All right? Again, I just feel like if he wants to be considered the best guy in his division, beating Deontay Wilder was a great win for Tyson Fury. Beating Vladimir Klitschko was a great win, but I want to see him fight AJ really bad. And if he's able to beat AJ and Dillian White, then I would probably be saying he's the best guy in this division, in this era right now, until somebody beats him.